Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I'm walking. I am walking. I may walk all the way home, man. Good news came my way. The other side of the case didn't show up. They didn't show up. So it's one of those situations where they don't have to serve me with a 3-day notice if they want to go through this process again. Obviously, they still need their money. So ain't nobody, stupid thinking that I can just get back to life the way that it was. But the point is, no 7 days move out, no 3 months move out in front of me. They're going to have to take me back to court for the same thing again if they want to kick me out, which I expect them to do if I don't get my mind right. But the point is, I wasn't worried about that. What I was worried about, you guys, was the 7-day notice or the 3-month countdown that was going to force me out of the apartment. What I need is to address my mental health so that when I address these type of countdowns, I don't desire to be in isolation. This is genuine trouble that I'm going through. So it's like, do I deserve to be kicked out of my apartment? Well, by way of not getting help, I would have probably kicked me out. But the favor that I've been given from this company, I'm telling you guys, the last thing I wanted to do was use any things that they didn't do. And I'm telling you this, and it probably doesn't benefit me, but this is in my heart and it's real. It didn't make me feel good to have to use something that they didn't do against them to keep me from having to go through what it is that I deserve to go through for the results of what it is that I actually didn't do, which was pay them their money. I was wrong. You understand what I'm saying to you? I don't sit here before you telling you that I agree with my decision to not shoot them their bread. They should have got their bread. I bought weed. I bought groceries and all of those things I needed to keep my body and my mind healthy, to deal with my anxiety. That weed was very important to me. But giving them their bread was something that I sinned against, not giving them their money. Not making sure that I sent them at least a couple more dollars for rent while I was sitting there holding them shares. I should have done that. And so the fact that this worked out in my favor does not absolve me from where I know I should have been better. And so I just thank the Lord for the lesson without the struggles, without the troubles. I could have been through so much worse right now learning the same lesson. But I'm telling you, I took steps yesterday. And I took steps a month ago when it was time for me to address this. I could have very easily stayed home, not handled this, and coddled myself in my own anxiety, because that's all I've been able to do the whole time. But when fight or flight comes around, my faith holds me down. And I didn't know what was going to work or what wasn't going to work. But what I was not going to do in any way, shape, or form was allow myself to further cower in my own mental health, when that's what put me in a position to do things that I no longer agree with. So don't get it twisted. I did not get away with being selfish. I learned after doing so that I had been that. And because of it, I take on this blessing with a great deal of interest in fixing the problem. Interest in fixing the problem as it pertains to never allow myself to do that again. Never allow myself to think that my mental health doesn't need to be addressed no more. That I can sit in the house for a year and any reason should be something I should want that for. I should never want that. Even if there's $1 million coming tomorrow, there should never be a reason to sit in your own sorrow today. There were things I could have did while holding my shares that could have addressed my mental health, while allowing me to do my channel, allowing me to do all the things that I wanted to do. But I could not see that. I couldn't see that for whatever set of reasons, but I see it now. I see that now because I'm walking here. The Lord and saved me from my black behind with yet another one of these beautiful blessings. I thank Him for that, but I also understand that it don't come without pay. He gave me a break here because He wants me to continue on the path that I'm on today, which is using my voice to wage war against my own demons first, and then against anything otherwise that I can help people with. I am not a prophet. I'm not a preacher. I'm a sinner that struggles with mental health concerns. But my belief in myself at this point is only growing. My belief in what it is I'm doing is growing. My belief in the person I'm trying to become is growing. And as I continue to enjoy this sunlight, I'm walking all the way home. I have no intention of catching a bus or calling anybody. I'm walking because I'm enjoying the fact that I have sunlight for the first time on my back in over a month. And before that, over a week, and before that, almost a year. And to me, everything that's going on right now is just a further testament that my faith is good. this morning, I thought there was a chance some people were going to kick me out of my house 7 days from now. I thought there was even a better chance that maybe it would be even less than that. Or maybe be a little better, but just worse, just the same in my mind. 3 months to wait for the worst to happen. It's just terrible for my mind. But this is the best possible scenario. That way I don't have a countdown in front of me. Ain't nobody saying, yo, in 3 weeks you will have to. That's so bad for me in regards to what I've been dealing with. But praise God, he gave me that countdown so that I can get myself together in regards to getting my mental health process started. And I will be there at 8:30 on Monday. This did not keep me from wanting to do that. If anything, it just gave me the second chance to know that I can handle my business. Get my head straight, apply for all the stuff that I was afraid to, address the fact that I was afraid to, address the fact that I was afraid to. That's a big one. There's a lot of stuff I knew I should do, I didn't want to do because I was just scared. And even though I wasn't necessarily afraid to tell y'all I was scared, I was afraid to admit it fully that fear didn't hold me back as much as I let myself believe that it was. It wasn't holding me back as much as I thought. If anything, I was choosing to be coddled by that. Choosing to be coddled by that, I believe. Because it kept me feeling like I didn't have to address certain things that even if I didn't have mental health concerns, I probably just don't want to address. Even if I didn't have mental health anxiety things, certain things are just pressured and sometimes you just feel a little lazy. And where does that begin and where does that end, I ask myself, as I continue to go on this journey of trying to find my health. At what point do you stop giving yourself passes for certain things because your mental health ain't necessarily what's wrong? It's just the excuse to allow you to do wrong. When I was buying weed all them damn times, I knew for a damn fact that I needed to pay other things, as I've already said. And all this stress and all this anxiety I went through was punishment enough to teach me to never ever do that again. Never allow myself to get to a point where it's okay to not communicate with people when I owe them. Sitting here worried about who's gonna pay me my money in regards to corruption when I'm engaging in the same bull crap in regards to the company that gave me this apartment. I'm not proud of that. I'm not gonna sit here and tell y'all I'm proud of that. But what I am proud of is that I kept my head high, that I wasn't bad energy in my heart that drove me to that, or some laziness or some desire to take advantage of people. It wasn't. And that's what I can stand on. I never desired to do anything at all other than hold my shares, cope with my existence, and further see myself as a good person until I realized that the things I was doing wasn't representing that at all. And then when I started to realize that, I began wanting to change those things. And I'm still in the midst of trying to learn what the hell those things are. And I find out, look around and say, yo, that's not a good trait. Yeah, I got a good heart, but my intellect has me working in the wrong way. Yeah, I want to hold my shares, but I'm being wrong to miss the lady on whatever her name is, who owns the building. You know what I mean? And I look at things like this. What if she needs the specific money that I have not given her for a sick child or something? What if that's the budget for something that really, really would matter to me if I knew about it? And see, these are the things that I want the Lord to help me fathom, think about. I want him to help me think about these things, because it's like, you don't know what it is you're doing by sheepishly executing things the wrong way. Just because you mean well, you could be doing some serious damage. Just because you can't see where you're messing up doesn't mean that the results of you messing up doesn't have harsh consequences on yourself and others. And so as I learn that lesson in my own way right now, I just feel appreciative for the grace that I've been given in regards to the situation for now, with respect to it going left at any time. But I also appreciate the fact that the Lord has put me in a position to see where I legitimately was not a good person, despite being wrong about that. It's not just enough to have good intentions. You got to be intellectually aligned with what it is that will help define the goodness that you think you are. And if you're not smart enough to execute properly, then you can have all the best intentions in the world and think of yourself as the greatest hero. And I thought I was a hero. I was an ape. You understand what I'm saying? I thought I was and still do. as it pertains to being a silent warrior, trying his very best to stand up against corruption that no one man will ever be able to defeat. But in the midst of trying to execute that self-exhaustion, legendary whatever thing I had trumped up in my mind, I was also somebody who was just dead beating it with his damn rent. For whatever good reason with my mental health, but more so just that being the case with me not being the wiser. So I'm sitting up here thinking I'm all this greatness. I'm telling you guys how proud I am of myself, when really I'm keeping that kid from getting his damn money that he needs for his medicine, potentially. I didn't want to do that. And when I pray to the Lord to help me be better, I don't think that that's one of those things he needs to change about me, because I never thought I was in the way of anything like that, right? But when you don't take care of your business and you don't pay people you owe, you leave room for all different types of possibilities that could be possible with you being on the wrong end of something that the Lord would otherwise want you to do. So that's what I've learned. It's exactly what I've learned. I put myself in a position now to be cognizant of the fact that I'm maybe not as smart as I would like to be to represent the heart that I actually have. My self-awareness may not show me where I'm being a jerk. My belief in myself and my whatever I got going on may not necessarily define all the damage that culture may do if I continue to uphold it. You know what I mean? And I think the same way about people who have power to do more. Lawmakers, it's like, do you survey what it is that you're in control of properly? Or do you see it in a way that it is not? And then do things with it that you shouldn't, based on that misunderstanding of what you're looking at and what it is you're responsible for. It's like, Lord, make me smart enough to know what I'm dealing with, so I don't just have good intentions attached to bad reactions and bad circumstances, you know? So as I grow smarter in that way and grow older, what I want to do is take the lessons I'm learning after 38 years and hopefully hand it to somebody who may be 21 years old, so they can skip 15 years of hard lessons that I learned and expedite our evolution. And I think that's really what it is. You know, we start looking at mistakes that people make from person to person to person, and it just becomes more common that these are the mistakes that have been made, and they're no longer mistakes to be made no more. It's just like, nah, we don't do that anymore. We've learned our lesson. And I think that's what this is, you know. We can help kids by telling them the mistakes that we made sooner. I wish somebody could have gave me the wisdom that I now have in regards to loving myself. It would have been easier to just be myself. I ain't gotta hate nothing. You know what I mean? I gotta love God. I ain't gotta hate nothing. I don't have to, you know, if somebody would have told me every good thing that ever comes your way comes from God, bro, if somebody would have told me that understanding, like gave me that understanding as fully as I have it right now, half of the things that I figured out would have been figured differently. I would have given myself so many different thoughts in regards to what works for me, what doesn't, if I just would have had an opportunity in life to just say, yo, all these different things that you think are gonna make you happy, happiness doesn't even come from there. In fact, you got a cheat code in life when you know happiness don't come from there, because there's a lot of stuff that's dressed up like with shiny objects and bells and whistles and things that are supposed to look like they're beautiful. They're not really beautiful. Those things are meant to destroy you or coerce you into destroying something. You know what I mean? But if you are confused about where good things come from, then you're gonna look at that and think it's good. But if you know where good things come from, you know it's not going to allow you to do any bad with something that's actually meant for good. If it's meant to make people happy and build things up and provide jobs and opportunities, and the last thing it's going to do is take those jobs, take those opportunities, and take away the happiness that's supposed to come with it. It just ain't going to do that. Even if it's pretty, even if it's dressed up real nice, even if it makes a lot of money, it ain't going to destroy you. You know? So that's really what it comes down to. It doesn't destroy you if it's meant from God. If it's good and it comes from heaven, believe me, it ain't gonna destroy you. So you just gotta be able to see it for what it is. You gotta read the energy correct, and that's really one of the things I like to talk about on here. And when it comes to my energy, I just hope people read it correctly, because I perceive myself as somebody who's learning how best to be a better person. And what if I find out that one of the most important things that I hang my hat on, that I believe makes me a good person, if I find out tomorrow that the wisdom attached to that doesn't actually make me a good person, do I learn to hate myself for the mistake I made? Do I learn to look at myself as a bad person because I just didn't get that one right, and now I got to identify the rest of my synopsis walking around as somebody who don't love nobody or somebody who can't get right? No, you don't identify yourself that way. You keep the new information that you have, you keep the heart that you have for what it is your intentions were, and you apply that new intellect and that new understanding to what it is that you're doing so that you can be smarter in being better, smarter at being a good person, so that your good intentions don't ruin what it is that you're ultimately trying to represent, which is your name and your likeness. And that's what I've done. I look at my last name on this paperwork. I'm like, yo, these people think I ain't about nothing. I don't want to pay my bills, that I ain't interested in nothing. The only thing that they know is that I'll show up to save my own backside. And that's not who I am. I mean, I'll save up to save my own backside, obviously, but I also show up to do anything that is meant for me to do. I'm trying to be somebody that can answer all the bills. So my anxiety and my mental health can't be a deterrent to that. It can't be telling me I'm a good person, coercing me into bad stuff, and then me not learning that lesson when it comes about. Hell no. This is why I'm going back home right now with the intention of continuing to work my way toward my mental health. Try to devise ways of being healthy enough to drive again. Devise ways of being healthy enough to just be around people like I used to be. These are things I know I can do. Things I know I can do. Improve my situation, improve my lifestyle, improve my mindset. You know what I'm saying? So that I don't continue to spiral in the same old ways. You go back into those old ways. You go back into those old spaces. And you think you're going to find something new. All you're going to find is the same thing that made you mistaken about who you were in the first place. More of the same, or the things that now you know better than to do because they don't represent a good you. And you're aware of that now. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't make you a bad person when you came to that realization. But you definitely didn't engage in the best version of yourself if you didn't take that from here. Now that you had that understanding and add it to your arsenal of things you're willing to do to represent yourself better. And so that's what we try to do. We learn that we don't beat ourselves up when we get it wrong. We don't beat ourselves up when we get it wrong. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with it, man. You hold yourself accountable, but you keep the balance to give yourself credit too. Hey, I've got a long way. I got up this morning. I met the deadline. I got there at 8:30, and because of it, I was able to receive the blessing. Now, if I didn't show up, they would not have dismissed the trial. They would have made it an extension. They would have essentially said that we can reconvene at another date since both parties ain't show up. But because I showed up and did what it is that was for me to do, even though it took a lot, now I can receive the blessing that the Lord wanted me to have. So, for example, my mindset initially told me not to do anything at all. Just sit back and let the worst happen and just be prepared for the worst. You ain't got to do that. You know why? Because at the end of the day, God had a plan for what the good was in regards to what it is he was telling me to do. You got to show up for the tough day, believe that I'm going to hold you down, and then I will. You know, that's how that went. You know, it's just like I was telling you guys before the day started. I'm going to walk in there with him. I'm not walking there by myself, but I'm walking in there with God, because at the end of the day, that's what he told me to do. It's like he told me to do this. So even though I couldn't see how he was going to bless me and my faith was tested, at the end of the day, it showed up for me. He showed up for me. It's like he said he would. And so that's what I'm telling y'all. It's not as difficult as you did wrong and now God wants to punish you and that's it. There's a lesson to learn. There's lessons to have. The punishment, it only stays in your life if you just ain't with changing or loving God enough to say, please help me or nothing. Otherwise, he's going to show you that he does have that for you. That need to save you is in him. You know, that's what people don't know about God. It's like God don't want you to fall, bro. He's just going to force you to learn a lesson, but he's going to catch you as soon as it's best for you to do that, to be caught. He ain't going to let you fall too far unless you have to fall. And then the secret to that is if you got to fall, then chances are he wired you for that fall. Everybody else ain't wired for what it is you about to go through, but you are. And that's what I've come to understand. You know, it's like, yeah, it's worst case scenario for someone else who's going through what you're going through. If they were to go through what you were going through, they wouldn't do as well. But because you're wired that way to go through that, you're going to do better than anybody else would. And so that's what I tell everybody who has to go through the worst of things. If you were given 100 years to life, if you were given the worst diagnosis, these are burdens that you were given on your timeline for you to handle. And if you capture what your purpose will, you will please the Lord that created you. Maybe you can't save yourself. Maybe you can't save somebody else. Maybe it's not in the cards for us to embrace good news. I was prepared for bad news. Not necessarily as it pertains to what I thought I could handle, but just like, God, let's try, let's do it. Whatever it's going to be. And so as I came to him this morning, telling him to help me, not only did he fast forward me to this moment where he actually did, but he gave me the understanding that I didn't get away with shit. Excuse my language. I didn't get away with nothing. But it wasn't about me needing to be scolded for getting away with something or wanting to. It was more so about me needing to understand that there was time to do things differently for myself so that I didn't have that problem. So I ain't had that problem. Excuse me, boss, walking around here. Excuse me. And that's really all it is, man. So you don't have the same problems. How you doing, boss? And that's what it is, I'm just trying to get to a point in my life where I just am not as lost about how best to display the heart that I have. I got family members that don't know I love them as much as I do because I stayed away from them for reasons that I wasn't aware were just mental health concerns. I had a relationship with God that has always stayed true, but my relationship with education was all thrown off out of whack. I don't know exactly how smart I actually am because I just didn't go to school. And it wasn't because I didn't see the fruit in school. It wasn't because I didn't love the idea of not suffering a life without education. I understood all of that as clear as I do now when I was about 10, 11 years old. It was the anxiety factor, the mental health confusion that made it so that I was able to convince myself to do things that I didn't think were wise so that I could put myself in a position to be comfortable, so I could put myself in a position to live with that. And I'm telling you, I don't hate myself for that. Hell no. But what I know now is that there are certain things in that situation that made it so that I had the ability to get help. And now that I have the understanding of what those abilities are, I can choose help. And so I'm telling you all to do the same thing. Choose help for you if you need it. And if you don't need it, I want you to think about something. As I've said in these therapy sessions, I don't know many of them you've watched, but there were times in my life where I was working. Hell, my current situation as we speak, me walking down the street, is the best example possible. Why? Because in this example, you understand that I thought I couldn't walk down the street like this a couple weeks ago. I'm walking past a super. I probably should buy some apples and bananas, but I thought I couldn't. I thought I couldn't do this. This was something that made me too anxious to even attempt. And now that I'm here, praise God, you feel me? I feel good. The sunlight's on my backside. Ain't no anxiety. It's the anticipation of things going bad that gives me anxiety, not the realities of them when I get there 9 out of 10 times. I hope there's a diagnosis for that. Because I don't feel no anxiety out here. It's just beforehand, Do I want to stop and get these bananas, or do I want to talk to you guys some more? I don't know, man. I kind of want to get these damn bananas, to be honest with you. But that's where my head is, man. I've enjoyed this therapy session. Maybe I'll start another one after I get out of the super here, but I just got to get me some fruit, man, because that's what's needed. So, thank everybody for dealing with me. This is my therapy session 303, I believe it is, and I'm telling you, man, as it always is, hindsight is 20/20, and if I would have known what I know now, I most definitely would have paid them something on my rent to keep all this from happening. But now that we're here, see God in this? See him? BDF 44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.